What are the worst car brands to buy that are doomed to fail? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. Today I'm going to share 5 car brands that make such bad cars and are in such bad shape that bankruptcy and failure seems to be looming over their heads. Which means that if you buy a new car from any one of these brands, you're either going to end up with a problematic money pit or at best a mediocre car from a brand whose days are numbered. Let's get started with the first brand that I'm putting in the number 5 spot, and that is Infiniti. It is really sad to include this one because back in the early 2000s, Infiniti used to be a very desirable brand. Sadly, Infiniti sales have been dropping and their lineup has deteriorated to the point where there's no real reason to buy one anymore. For example, the Q50 sedan has been around for over a decade now with no major changes and will finally be discontinued after 2024. The QX50 is a reliability nightmare with a problematic engine and CVT combo and has one of the worst owner satisfaction ratings according to Consumer Reports. The QX60 was a decent 3-row luxury SUV until Infiniti went and ruined it for 2025 by replacing the proven VQ V6 engine with the same problematic 2-liter turbo engine from the QX50. Why they would put such a small, hopeless engine into such a large, heavy SUV is really beyond me. And then there's the full-sized SUV, the QX80, which was just redesigned for 2025. But again, they ditched the proven V8 engine and replaced it with a new twin-turbo V6 and made it so insanely expensive that it would be a miracle if anyone actually bought one. Infiniti sales are almost non-existent these days, and even though the company claims that they have new models coming and they will turn things around soon, I think it is far more likely that they will just give up and shut down. Given the major risk, buying a brand new Infiniti is just a bad move in 2025 and could be a major risk, and is just not worth it unless you maybe get an unbelievable lease deal for just 2 to 3 years. But beyond that, just stay away. Okay, moving on to the next car brand in the number 4 spot that you should avoid buying, and that car brand is Buick. Buick, which is part of General Motors of course, has been having a rough time here in North America for ages now. They occupy this somewhat unusual space where they are meant to be a little bit more luxurious than Chevrolet, but not as expensive to buy as Cadillac. But unfortunately, the strategy just does not seem to be working and nobody is buying them. And it's not hard to understand why. Aside from the styling, there is really nothing that differentiates Buick from Chevy anymore. They have the same features, the same drivetrains, and the same technology. The only difference is that you are paying more for Buick. So why on earth would you choose it? As hard as GM may try to keep it alive, there is zero reason for this brand to exist anymore. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it dropped at some point in North America. The next brand that I'm putting in the number 3 spot are actually a few different brands that are all extremely similar and share the same basic issues. And those brands are VinFast, Lucid, and Rivian. For those not familiar with them, these 3 brands are all relatively new automakers which produce expensive electric vehicles. They are all sort of around the point where Tesla was around a decade ago or so, except they are all struggling with their own issues. The major concern with them, which is the same concern I would have of any brand new company with no reputation, is that they are brand new, which means as a consumer, you are buying into a brand with next to no reputation, no understanding of how well made the vehicles will be, no idea of what the customer service will be like, or how easy or challenging the vehicles will be to service. Basically, you are spending an enormous amount of money taking a major gamble, and even if you by any chance have a lucky and positive ownership experience, who's to say that the company is going to be successful and even be around after a few years? I mean, just look at what happened to Fisker, which is going through liquidation at the moment. No one wants to be stuck with a worthless brick that they paid a fortune for. So the risk of going down this path with any one of these brands is just too great. That is, until one of them has properly established themselves and have a proper, solid reputation so that you can have complete confidence that they're not going anywhere and that you're going to be 100% satisfied. But that's definitely a long road from now. In any case, let's move on to the next brand that's in the number 2 spot. And now we're getting into the seriously bad ones. And the next one on the list is JLR, or Jaguar Land Rover. Although JLR makes a few appealing vehicles, at least on the Land Rover side, which has the popular Range Rover models that do attract buyers, thanks to their style, image, and heritage, for the most part, JLR is a brand that has a lot of issues and is best to avoid. The biggest concern with them is that just about every vehicle they make is often plagued with reliability issues, most of which are a nightmare to deal with and can cost a small fortune to repair. It's not uncommon to experience major reliability issues right from brand new, which means you better get acquainted with your service department at the dealership and driving loaner vehicles. The company's poor reputation for reliability, nightmare repairs, and outrageously high repair costs have resulted in these brands having terrible resale value. They quickly become worthless once they pass the warranty period because no one wants to get stuck dealing with all these issues that just drain your bank account. Jaguar in particular, however, is suffering from a far more serious problem, which is that they are on the verge of being wiped out completely. The company has discontinued their entire model lineup for 2025, leaving only one model left just in North America, which is the F-Pace SUV. Supposedly, Jaguar is in the process of reinventing itself into a higher-end electric vehicle automaker. But given how shaky the market has been lately for extremely expensive luxury electric vehicles, I really don't have high hopes of that plan going anywhere. What is more likely is that JLR will just give up on Jaguar altogether, which would be a disaster for anyone who purchases one of these. My advice would just be to stay away. And finally, that brings us to the last car brand on the list. In the number 1 spot, the worst car brand that should be avoided, and for that one, I am going with Stellantis. Stellantis, which is an umbrella company that includes several brands including Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, and Fiat, is the definition of a disaster in every possible way. And as I've been warning for ages now, it has only been getting worse and worse year after year. Stellantis has been struggling with designing new appealing vehicles that consumers actually want, and the ones they already make have been getting wildly overpriced, with price increase after price increase every year for vehicles that are, for the most part, dated, undesirable, poorly made, unreliable, and absolutely tank in value over time. It's really hard to come up with a single Stellantis vehicle that is really exempt from any of these issues. Their lineup has been seeing price increases of 20%, 30%, even 40% over the past few years, while their quality has been sinking further and further down the drain. Stellantis is now a leader when it comes to recalls, and they often come rock bottom in just about every reliability survey. So it really should come as no surprise that Stellantis vehicles are among the slowest selling in North America, with the longest market day supply on dealer lots. And dealers are expressing their frustration with the company, largely blaming the executive team. Dealers are desperate for support to offload their piling inventory. Many have reported that the company is in absolute crisis mode and is degrading rapidly as profits plummet. So, to sum up, we have outrageously overpriced, poor quality vehicles, awful reliability ratings, bottom of the barrel resale value, sky-high recalls, massive layoffs from the manufacturer, panicking dealerships, and more. And I'll also add this. I have learned through my experience as a professional consultant helping consumers with their new car purchases and helping them deal with their car problems that most automakers are so when it comes to their customer service, when it comes to dealing with issues and solving problems with their vehicles between them and the dealership. Generally speaking, the less reliable a brand is, the worse their customer service is, probably because they are so overwhelmed trying to deal with all the problems. But I can say with certainty that Stellantis in particular is the absolute worst when it comes to their customer service, specifically helping their customers solve their issues. They are extremely difficult to deal with and often give their customers a really hard time when it comes to warranty claims. And if you doubt that, well, just hear this. Everyone knows that in the United States, there are lemon laws in place to protect consumers. If you have ongoing issues with a vehicle that you purchased from a dealership, you have lemon laws to protect you, where you could ultimately get the manufacturer to buy back the vehicle. Well, unfortunately, up in Canada, it's not the same situation. There are no lemon laws. In fact, consumer protection in this area in Canada is surprisingly weak. The closest equivalent to lemon laws that are offered in Canada is something called CAMVAP, an arbitration plan where consumers can apply and present their problem to the committee, and if they can prove that they've had ongoing issues with their vehicle that the manufacturer refuses to solve, well, CAMVAP might be able to provide compensation. Now, here's the important piece. Almost every single manufacturer is part of CAMVAP. That's the way that it should be, all except for one mainstream automaker. And you guessed it, the only manufacturer that is not part of CAMVAP is Stellantis. BMW has also removed themselves, but among the popular mainstream brands, Stellantis is the only one that's pulled out. So what does that tell you? Is this company truly interested in helping its customers, especially when they experience major reliability issues? Well, it doesn't seem like it. And what this means is that if you're experiencing ongoing issues with your Stellantis vehicle that the manufacturer refuses to resolve and help you with, well, you really have no other form of consumer protection. All you can really do is pursue legal action and really hope for the best. Well, there you have it. These are the worst brands that I can think of that are probably getting very close to bankruptcy, collapse, you name it. Do you agree with this list? And do you have a bad experience with any one of these particular brands that you would like to share? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to visit carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.